I don't really know how to start this, but message one. What is this? I'm so busy. I don't know why I decided to have one more thing on my plate and do a podcast. But in all seriousness, I do really want to do this. I feel like just before I even get into anything, like what today's episode's going to be about, I thought I would just say a bit about the way. So the thing, like, I'm your average teenager. I do sport, like I do water polo and dance. I also have hobbies, which Christmas break. Well, I don't usually go to the pool during Christmas. I'm more the kind of person to just like wake up at like 9, stay in bed till 12, and then just like average teenage girl. Like there's nothing just special about me. I'm not like a young celebrity on screen doing movies in their free time and just having studying on the side. I have just really wanted to do a podcast for a long time. So, yeah, not much about me, but also a lot, which you'll get to learn along the way. So, kind of like how today's episode is going to be structured, because it is going to be different from normal, which you'll find out shortly. So, first, I am going to get into why I actually wanted to start a podcast, and then that will lead me nicely into like just how I came up with the actual name Unsend Voice Memos. And then from there, I will go into like how each episode will be structured. And then my last thing I will mention in today's episode is my aim for this podcast and just like what I want myself to get out of it, but also you guys. So I'm going to get into that. Okay, so this starts like that at the beginning of 2025. So I had just finished watching Deal or No Deal Island season 2. So from that show, I got to know of Parvati Shallow. And for those who don't know her who are listening, she is an American TV personality. She has shown up on a couple reality shows, but her first one was US Survivor, and I think she has played 4 seasons in total. I started listening to her podcast, Nice Girls Don't Win, and I was just very interested. One was like just the Hollywood atmosphere, because that has always been something that has piqued my interest, but also just like the actual style of the podcast. Like I just love the conversational thing. And then they went on a break in May for summer holidays in the US, so I stopped listening to it. So then I was kind of not really listening to anything. Like I was tuning into Australian survival podcasts at this point, but like nothing major. And then come into July and I start like having a zombies obsession. So naturally I get pulled towards the Mamager podcast, which is run by the Barton family, and the Barton family is Malachi Barton, Felicia Barton, and Lauren Barton. So I started watching those episodes, but then they ended back in July, so I only really got to see 1 or 2 episodes come out, but I'd like back watched quite a few of their episodes, and I didn't actually really have any other episodes or like podcasts to like listen to, because nothing really piqued my interest. So I was just kind of listening to a couple podcasts every now and then, just trying to like pick up the style. And I think over time I just like learnt to love like the conversational style of podcasts, and I was just like, maybe I could do this. But like I feel like there's so many ands, ifs, and buts, and just things holding me back, such as like schoolwork and needing to do well, and just like not knowing who I could do it with. So I just kind of dropped it by then. And then, yeah, so literally by December, I had literally forgotten all about like starting a podcast. And then I get to January and I was listening to some Dancing with the Stars podcast where they were interviewing the pros, because I'd started getting obsessed with that. That happened for a couple of weeks, and then I went away on a camp for 5 days, and I was rooming with really nice girls, and I was just kind of like talking, like I don't even entirely remember what we were talking about, but it was like late at night and we were just sitting in like the common room we had, like me and maybe 4 other girls I'd say, and we were all just kind of chatting, and I wasn't really talking much. Like I was kind of just listening because they had quite interesting things to say from memory. And then I like tuned in at a point in time, like started speaking, and then one of them mentioned that I had a really nice voice and I could like do like an ASMR channel, like something like that. And I was like, thank you. I've been actually thinking about starting a podcast for a while, but I wasn't sure. And then they were all like, oh my god, you'd sound really good, like I would listen to your podcast. So I feel like that gave me the motivation to start. So then I come back home and immediately I tell my mum I want to start a podcast, and she's like really supportive. So I had like maybe a week or two left of school holidays, so I was literally just like planning as much as I could before I got into school. I was like writing down all my ideas and like I was trying to think of the name. And that's where this part comes in. It actually took me a while to think of the name. And I feel like that's just because like there were so many options and I just didn't even know what to do. So it took me a couple weeks to think of a name. And how it came about was like really odd. So literally like one day I remember I had like something to do. I think I had to send an email and I was like walking on my way home and I just didn't have a pen that I could write like send email to this teacher. So instead, I pulled out my phone and I started recording a message to myself while I was walking. Now, it was like a very short message, but like it's just so I could. One of it was just like so I could speak and it helps me with like memory retention. But the other part was like if I forgot, I could click back to it. And then like stopped it. And then like it got me thinking like I am actually like never really going to share this with anyone. And by this point, I had already like come up with the meaning of my podcast being like I just want it to be relatable and just like have something like people can fall back on a really bad day. And I was like, there are so many times where I just like have things bottle up in my head and I just want to send a message, but I just like can't because like I don't want people judging me or something. So that's kind of where the unsend part came from. And then just because I was like recording a voice message, I was like, voice memos, that kind of works. And then that's how I got like unsend voice memos. And that's just how the title came up. Like, it's not the most interesting story, but it's the origin story. So the thing is, like, I always have like these moments where like I do want to share something, but it just like never feels right because like I just feel like the people around me will judge me. And that is probably not true entirely. It's just like me getting in my head. And I know so many people do. So I was like, if I start a podcast, I can just like be real and honest, like to myself, but like also to others. So yeah, like the thing is, I didn't make this platform like just for me. I made it for like everyone who needs it and everyone who wants to listen. Like I just wanted to make like others feel heard. Like I feel like one of my values for me is just making sure everyone is heard and making sure everyone is valued in life. And I feel like this podcast just really like allows me to do that. Like it just, yeah, I don't know. I can't say too much like about it, but it's just like it supports my values and morals so well, and it's just like it's been something I've always wanted to do. So yeah, like the thing, like I just said, I just want others to feel heard. And like for me, it just like it doesn't matter if you like listen to it like first thing in the morning or just before you go to bed, if you're having like the best day in the world or the worst day, because it doesn't matter what time of day it is or what mood you're in. It's just like, yeah, it's meant to be there. Because the thing is, unsent voice memos, it's like not a platform for me. It's like a platform for everyone. But like saying that, the thing is, like, I don't have the answers to life. I am going through teenage life very slowly, but I'm getting through it. Like, I'm not like a licensed therapist where I can be like, oh, if you do this, it will work, because I don't know who's listening. So there's a chance I don't know you personally. So I can't say like take this as advice, even though like I love helping people, and as much as I want to give advice, I like legally can't, but I can give you suggestions. Like I'm just thinking in a couple episodes I will be doing an exams one, and there I give a couple of study tips, some that have worked for me and some haven't. And like you're welcome to try it, because like I feel like that, not gonna lie, that would be so cool if I see people trying something because I said it. But like you can't like take it against me if I said something that worked for me doesn't work for you, because I'm trying to navigate life and this is my way of doing it, even though having a podcast is not a normal teenage thing. Like I am living teenager life like everyone else. Like my life is chaotic and whack, and let's be honest, so will these episodes. There isn't like a linear structure or theme, because like reality is like just doesn't operate like that. So like there'll be like kind of two types of episodes. So there will be like obsession episodes, and this could be like a show, a book, just kind of really anything I'm just like fixated on at the moment, because like I don't know about anyone else, but I have been fixated on things for a period of time, for so many things, and then I just like forget about it, because like I've had one too many of those moments. And I feel like those fleeting moments are are really important. And I was like, if I want this podcast to be relatable, I can't just talk about my obsessions all the time. And I also am not that selfish. So there will like be other weeks where I will actually just be talking about my life and the latest. Because, like, I will be honest, I distract myself with my obsessions a lot of the time. Like, Survivor, I will use it to, like, not study a lot. Like, I remember, like, back in term 4, I was just binge watching Survivor so I didn't have to study. But yeah, like, I know reality will always exist. Like, I will always feel, like, stress and pressured in some capacity. And, like, I'm still growing up and trying to figure out, like, one too many things. So I'm just, like, always trying to avoid them in life. And here I am not trying to avoid them, but, like, rather voice them through, like, extremely wild and relatable stories. Okay, maybe not extremely loud. They'll probably be quite tame, but hopefully they'll be relatable. They say the first episode is the hardest one to record because it means you have started, and now I've started, and I hope you'll join me on this journey. I know today's episode was really short. I do promise that they will be longer, but I thought it's easier to start off with a short episode and then get into longer ones, as just starting is so hard because it means you have to like commit, and committing can be really scary, especially when it comes to just having to dive in head first. So yeah, this is Unsent Voice Memos, and I'll be your host, Desi. Episodes will be releasing every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 9 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Unsent Voice Memos Podcast to keep up with the latest regarding episodes and just short little clips from my everyday life. Okay, I finally did it. Even though I wasn't sure what I was doing, I did it. Message 1 concluded.